Welcome back, WNST, Tassel, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are into the Thanksgiving week. Before I get to this, I'm going to tell everybody about this promotion we're doing here for Black Friday and beyond for the holidays. Our friends at Tahark are delivering ice cream, awaken more than just your taste buds. They got some big news they're making next month. But the big news is we're delivering 8 of these in a box just like this to your door with exotic flavors. I had the sweet potato the other night. It was unbelievable. And we're doing this for $15.70 off. Everyone, I want you doing it between now and Christmas. Please take care of local people. This is just sort of a reminder to buy local, think local. It's the holidays, and nothing more local than our friends down in Essex, and Todd Schuler joining us now from Blondell Miller Schuler. I actually got together with your partner, Mark Miller, who's my lifer friend, off the air. He's sort of the Penn and Teller thing. You're the public side of damngoodlawyer.com. But we caught up for the holidays, and I know it's been a crazy year for you so many ways. You lost your dad recently, but this Calvert Hall Loyola game, there's nothing more Baltimore positive than that. Even I've been to Calvert Hall Loyola games, and I didn't even go to Calvert Hall Loyola, man.
Yeah, we got word over the weekend that they were canceling the game, and like you say, the personal tragedy, the national tragedies that are sort of all around us. It's hard to say that losing this game is the gut punch that it is, given everything else that is.
Well, let's think about what we've lost here. Let's go to the beginning, just from a sports perspective. Okay, let's forget losing your dad, anyone that lost anyone in COVID, the serious things. Let's just go to the toy department. Okay, so let's see the entire lacrosse season, right? Opening day and every part of that. Preakness and every part of that. If you're a hunt cupper, if you're, any of those things that we all do, the Heritage Fair, the things in my life, right? You boil crawfish at the Preakness, and like all of these things, every Ravens game, every Stones concert, every Pearl Jam concert, every night at Merriweather, every night at Pier 6. Did I leave anything else?
Yes. And now we have this. Nestor, I've been to 43 of these things, and I don't turn 44 until January. I set my watch. My calendar is centered by being at Raven Stadium or Memorial Stadium or Towson University and watching Calvert Hall play Loyola. I mean,
were you one of those guys that go out drinking the night before too? Because it was a big thing 25 years ago that they would all gather over at the barn, back in the day when I broadcast there, it's the end of the century. And I like saying that now that we're into the roaring 20s, Todd. Back in the last century. I sound like John Wayne. But, yeah, there was all my Calvert Hall and Loyola friends, be it, the Jason Wrights of the world, or the Joe Slivkas of the world, or the Bill Coles of the world, or like yourself, the Frank Kellys, the Joe Enochs on the Loyola side. I got a lot of Loyola people too. And I want to tell you, Loyola has me out once a year, every year to speak. Calvert Hall?
I'll put in a word for you, Nestor.
You know what it is? My hair's getting long now. They don't let me over there anymore. They don't let you come down Taylor Avenue if your hair gets weird.
No, right? You got to be high and tight at Calvert Hall. They let that fly a little bit over there.
Goatee wouldn't get me in. They throw me out of Curly for that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go to Curly.
But yeah, we had some great runs lately with kids and all. The Wednesday night before has become less of an event, and you're up crazy early. So I got a good buddy named Cal Bowman that has a driveway party every Thanksgiving and puts out the Bloody Mary bar, and usually hit that. The game's been at Towson the last few years. They're kind of getting away from doing it at the NFL stadium. So that makes it kind of easy. You just shoot on over to Cal's, get yourself a Bloody Mary. The kids play a little football in the backyard, and then you head on off and watch the game. And the games have been pretty good lately. We're on a 10 out of the last 11 streak with Calvert Hall wins. So things are markedly different than they were when I was at Calvert Hall and we were getting our brains beat in every year.
Well, run me through this, because I've talked about this game every year. I've watched it on TV many, many years, everywhere it's been played. I attended the game one time. I have evidence because I wrote about it for the News American. I want to say that I attended the November 85, maybe it was November 86. No, it was 85. November 85 game that I covered the City Poly game but was also there for Calvert Hall Loyola for the News American. Kathy Frazier sent me. So I have a byline from the City Poly game, but the notion that Memorial Stadium, I mean, you're a little younger than me. Like, I don't know, when you say 43 years and all these years, like, do you have any recollection of Memorial Stadium with doubleheaders?
100%. And in fact, good to bring up City and Poly. Like in those days, before the city went to playoffs and when we were all in the MSA, I mean, we were the undercard. City Poly was the game, and Calvert Hall Loyola was the appetizer, you know. And we would go to those games. My dad would take me. I was there as a child. In the great Memorial Stadium games were 1983 and 1984, and I don't know if you got a second to hear about them, but we had left Memorial Stadium because Loyola went ahead in 1983. I'm a 6-7-year-old kid, whatever, and my brother, who's a year younger, we leave the game because Loyola punches in a touchdown with 30-some seconds to go. The game's on TV, so there's a TV timeout. We get to the parking lot. We get to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving dinner, and they're all telling us that Calvert Hall won. Calvert Hall had run a reverse on the ensuing kickoff and ran it back and beat Loyola that year. And the great story of that is Augie Maselli, the legendary coach, who was like a combination of your freshman math teacher and Woody Hayes. Augie Maselli would tell the story that in 84.
I knew all these people. I mean, I had to go up with a notebook when I was 16 years old and, you know, take notes from Augie Maselli. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 84, are they going to run the reverse again? Are they going to run the reverse? And Augie Maselli would tell the story that he told two people. A guy named Charlie Rogers was the custodian over at Calvert Hall. A guy named Lou Civitrees was a science teacher. And he said, look, these are the two biggest gossips at Calvert Hall. I'm telling them all I'm running the reverse on the opening kickoff. And sure enough, Calvert Hall wins the toss. He said, my guys jump 10 feet in the air. They know what's coming. They jump. And so they run the reverse. Well, they fake the reverse. Guy keeps the ball, runs it to the house. Calvert Hall beats Loyola 46-6 that year, you know, like all off that opening kickoff fake reverse. And so
right now, Joe Enoch and all my Loyola friends are driving off the side of the road. Todd Schuler's here, Calvert Hall, Loyola. You can find them at damngoodlawyer.com. You know, happy holidays to you. I know you and I talked about gratitude a little bit last week as we get into Thanksgiving, and you know, you were grateful for the fact that Calvert Hall was playing Loyola, and we're starting to see some of these things continue to get taken away here, and I think, you know, more than anything, for the spirit of things and keeping people together, is there anything that, you know, like, can you get online and yell at each other or something and make each other feel good, or have online bloodies or something? I
got my Calvert Hall flag, almost like one of those like Ravens truck flags, or, you know, that you would hang off of your window. And I hang it on my mailbox every year. My next door neighbor, his boys were at Loyola pretty much when we moved in 10 years ago, and they're, you know, older now. So we got Calvert Hall and Loyola in the neighborhood. I always represent, you know, I fly my flag 1 week a year, and we do what we can. Yeah, my son had a kid over the other day whose older brother is a senior at Loyola, football player. I mean, if it's hard on us, I just can't imagine losing that game. I mean, my dad played in the 50th. My brother played in the 75th. I mean, guys look forward to playing in that game, especially these generational guys. They look forward to playing in that game when they're 5 and 6 years old. I look at the kids that I coach, that I know some will go to Calvert Hall and some will go to Loyola, and they're 10-year-olds playing basketball, and I can't wait for them to be playing against each other in the Calvert Hall Loyola game in 5 or 6 years. You know, it's a heartbreaker for those seniors. I don't even want to think about it, you know?
Well, you know what? For me, like, Loyola's invited me over the last couple of years. They get together Christmas week. So this is a couple weeks from now. And I've done this the last 3 years where I MC it. And it's the Loyola. Sometimes it's JV, sometimes varsity, against the Bicota Senior Center. You know where Bicota Senior is?
Sure,
just
yeah.
west of downtown Towson. And I knew the Bicota Center well because Alan Goldstein, who was one of my mentors at the Sun, played basketball there with the seniors. You know, they have a total, like, you got to be 65 to play, kind of, sort of 55. You know, it's one of those kind of leagues. But they play basketball year-round over there. And the big highlight of the year is they go and play the Loyola basketball team. There's no contact in the lane, right? But I mean, it's essentially a shooting contest, and the seniors always kick their ass. I mean, the Loyola guys, I know that makes you Calvert Hall guys happy that the Loyola kids lose, But, last year, Joe Enoch's kid's involved, and I'm out there, and I know so many people, whether I'm at Loyola or Calvert Hall. I mean, I've been doing this. By the way, December 13th, it'll be 29 years on radio for me. So that's 29 Calvert Hall Loyola games here every year where I'm watching it on Thanksgiving and a part of it, knowing so many people. And, again, all those years I was at the barn where all the Calvert Hall people would get together and have so many Loyola people. I'm not in either camp, but I do understand, like, the significance for everybody. I mean, and I think this really does speak to – I was with a bunch of lacrosse people the night that lacrosse got canceled, the night that everything stopped, the Rudy Gobert night, right, back in March. And and I'm with lacrosse people, and all they can think about is every 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, 21, wherever you are on the arc of playing the game and having the game taken away from you. That's something that didn't happen to you and me, where our parents came out and said, no stickball, 12 months. Maybe we got grounded for the weekend or something. But think about that. We got grounded. We had sports taken away for a weekend, how much it crushed us, right?
Oh, the guys Calvert Hall's lacrosse team, for instance, is just winning championships like it's crazy, for years and years now. And they'll send 12 or 15 guys to Division 1A high school, or Division 1A colleges. So to play your junior year any significant time, you got to be the man. It's mostly running out seniors. So there's a group last year that lost their entire season, and maybe they didn't get the action that they would have otherwise on a junior year, because the guys in front of them, they lost the championship. By the way, as these things are cyclical, you mentioned the basketball team. I took my kid to Loyola, which, by the way, now looks like Hogwarts. It's absolutely insanely beautiful in there. And they just destroyed us. Went to Calvert Hall Loyola basketball game last year. And I don't think Calvert Hall can beat Loyola in baseball and basketball, and I don't think they can beat us in lacrosse and football. And it was the exact opposite in the 90s when I was there. It was a futile attempt to beat them at football and lacrosse in those days, but we always had basketball and baseball to hold over their heads. So the things move in cyclical directions, I guess.
I always tell you the story about how my sixth grade school teacher, Miss Johnson, if she's still alive, I'm looking for her, Betsy E.O. Johnson. If anybody can find Betsy Johnson or, her son Eric, let me know, because I'm looking for her. But she tried to get me into McDonough back in 1979. It's the whole Pensy prep thing, right? So I never did that, and I had never set foot in Loyola. I think I've been in Calvert Hall once. I've been in the gym there a million years ago when I covered sports. I've been in a lot of high schools, right, because I covered high school sports for a good period of time in the late 80s. So I've been on a lot of fields in Howard County and Anne Arundel County and in gyms. I've been to Broadneck. I've been to CM Wright. I've been a lot of places, but I had never been to Loyola inside, right, until the Van Brooks tragedy happened. And, I was there with Marvin Lewis that night because the Bengals were in town. It was the beginning of my marriage back in 2003 and 2004. And I know Van well now and his foundation and the work he does. And I was sort of unaware of, how nice these schools are and, the sort of the wealth that goes along with it and the parents and having to pay bills and going to school and doing. My parents were going to send me to Mount Carmel at one point. Then they wanted to send me to Curly, and I told them there was no girls there. And my parents really didn't have the money to do that at the time. Like, kind of, sort of, were thinking more about college for me. But I've always, as an adult, because as a kid I didn't have the opportunity, and I was a little overwhelmed at 11 showing up at McDonough taking an Iowa test. But as an adult, to go to these places and see what it means for families and what it means to graduate, what it means to play football, what it means to give back, what it means to, I go over to Loyola and, you say men for others, right? And you say, what does it mean for Calvert Hall? What are you most proud about with Calvert Hall? I want to ask you that, because
you were hitting the tuning fork right on the sound of it, right? I mean, to be a Calvert Hall man is to hold yourself in great esteem. And I meet people from Calvert Hall. I get resumes. I see Calvert Hall. You're in. I just know the character that is built there. The men for others is, as you referenced, Loyola. It's a Jesuit phrase. It is absolutely what they are attempting to instill in the young men that go to both of those places. They're trying to make people better citizens.
Even though you'd never let your kid go to Loyola.
In a million years. If we weren't on radio, I'd tell you my father's expression, but I can't do it. No, absolutely not. I hate Loyola.
And this is good, too, because we're playing the Steelers on Thursday night. So you can't get this out of your system in the morning?
No,
you can get it out of your system Thursday night.
I'll have to take the Steelers. There's a great Ohio State-Michigan documentary on HBO, and I don't know who said it, but
well, I saw the Woody Hayes punch live. I'm old enough to remember that, so go ahead.
I think I probably did, too, right? Clemson game?
No. Well, yeah, but you weren't old enough. Were you old enough? It
had to be in the 80s. He wasn't out of there.
Hold
in the
on.
70s.
Let me see when Woody Hayes punched. I'm going to look it up. I'll Google it right now. Woody Hayes punch. I'll get a date on that. No problem.
Give me the date on that. And let me tell you that in that documentary, somebody says that rivalry taught me how to hate. It taught me pure hatred. And it's still in my body. I mean, like I said, a kid came over. He was wearing his Loyola sweatshirt. I'm like, what are you wearing a Loyola sweatshirt in my house for? But the sound of half of Memorial Stadium.
It was 78, by the way. December 78.
Born in 77. I
didn't think you would remember it. I mean, I remember it as a young child. I remember it on the black and white TV with the rabbit ears from Montgomery Ward.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just an echo. It's a hollow sound to hear half of a stadium cheering in your face. And I've had it so many times in my life. Calvert Hall shows up. We got a band. We got cheerleaders. We got a bigger audience. We're a bigger school. We have a bigger football team. We should beat the hell out of them every time. They have a drum. One damn drum, and they beat that damn drum so hard whenever they score, and that I hate it. I hate them so much. And
Beautiful.
You've gone, and that
Happy Thanksgiving, Todd Schuler.
Happy Thanksgiving. That taught me how to hate the Steelers. It taught me how to hate the Red Sox. Like that, none of that was built into my foundation until I had something magical. And you know what? I feel bad for people who went to Curly and went to Dundalk and went to Boys Latin and went to anywhere else.
I had my Dundalk moment. I'm telling you, man, I showed up over there at the Raven Stadium. My wife was in peril at the time, so it was not a great time for me. And I wore my high school jacket, and I showed up, and everybody in the stadium was wearing green and gold. And then I realized that Damascus wears green and gold. And then they went out with a kid named Jake Funk. You're probably familiar with him from Maryland. I think he's still running. I think he ran for like 320 yards, set a state record, and defeated my Al. So I had one night in Raven Stadium. The smell of marijuana was everywhere on our side. All 380 of our fans versus the 18,000 that they had bussed in from Western Maryland. That's the only football memory I have other than the Powder Puff game where our senior class lost to the junior class, and I emceed that one. So I don't have any fond football memories of my high school the way all of you Calvert Hall, Loyola types do,
I just mean that when you have a rival, when you have something that passionate, it makes it better. And look, that's
I was from Dundalk. We didn't like Essex.
Yeah. The Dundalk-Essex rivalry may be the only thing close to par.
Well, it mattered a lot more when we had we were fighting for the disposal plant there on the ledge there. So I guess that's probably my segue to saying that as much as you have all this angst toward Loyola on Thanksgiving and angst toward the turkey and the stuffing and the gravy and then angst toward the Steelers, you take that out of insurance companies all the time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal, right? All of that anger is what helps me be a better advocate for my clients, right? I'm able to channel that into in advocacy for my clients. So absolutely.
Well, can I ask you this? And getting off Calvert Hall, and I'll let you go back because I know it's important to you. You want to talk about your dad and missing the game and all that. We might even get to some Steelers here. I know you're outraged 2 weeks ago at a president of the United States calling foul on an election where they're fraud, literally, not foul, not a few votes here or there, literally calling it fraudulent, watching these fake lawyers like this Jenna, whatever her cult is, and this other woman that they threw out of the tribe the other night who was, I don't know what planet she's from or what bar she went to, not represents, what bar she passed by or passed through to get here. But there is a point of legal representation that I have needed in the past for myself, that we're watching maybe the other side of that play out, is that when the other side's sort of dirty or pulling dirty tricks, and I would think everyone No offense to Geico, but at Geico on their lawyer's side, they sort of know every dirty trick, and it's sort of like it feels to me like it's almost stacked against you if you get in an accident. You're trying to fight with an insurance company, which is probably why you need somebody like you and Mark on your shoulder, right?
Well, yes, and before we cast aspersions over Geico lawyers,
Okay, but
we
okay.
do operate in a world of professional conduct, but absolutely they have the horses to keep you from getting your money. I mean, they have very skilled lawyers who are in court every single week, keeping people from getting what they're entitled to after they've been injured at work or whether they've been injured in a car crash. And so absolutely it is advantageous to have an equally experienced attorney that's there to fight for your rights. Clean on both sides, I'm 100% assure
I
you.
only sat on one jury in my life, and it was famously during a Steeler-Raven playoff week. So it takes you back. It was January. I sat 3 days. I couldn't work. I mean, I couldn't talk to my wife about what it was. And it literally was aforementioned insurance company, woman literally faking everything, literally had faked this thing into the court. And I had to sit there for 3 days and watch her try to bilk an insurance company, like literally the other side of this, which is, they're an insurance company. We're going to go get us 800 grand and get us a jury. And we all went in and we're like, this woman's faking. Like, it was an insane thing. It was a wild process to watch such a, I don't even know what to call it. I mean, it was a con. You know what I mean? That was the case I saw, and then I watched like 3.5 years of lawyers and work to bring this con in front of a jury that we all saw as a con.
It is a long process for sure, and you can bet that that process, regardless of the case, has involved many man hours or woman hours of work on both sides. For anything to reach that point, to get to a jury is a tremendous amount of effort, Herculean effort on both sides. I mean, usually multiple lawyers involved and all kinds of paralegal work and everything else. So, yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, and I can't.
And I don't want you on any of my juries if you're going to call con on there. That's crazy.
No, no, no. And you know what happened? Here's where the con happens for me is that they selected me out of the pool, and then the lawyer came later and admitted to me that he knew who I was, which apparently was unethical or something like that. But you would never do that. Todd Schuler's here. Blondell Miller Schuler. They are damngoodlawyer.com. Todd and I usually get together. We talk about, let's see, crawfish, Constitution, football games at Calvert Hall, Loyola, grieving the loss of a parent, all of this. Give me a Thanksgiving thought for you because Don Moeller, who I know you know and respect as well, spent a lot of time with Don the last couple of weeks on Zoom and meetings. We're selling new sponsorships. You're a great partner in what we do. We've talked to a lot of different people. Man, Thanksgiving is Don's favorite holiday. He invites us over. I've seen what it does to him, like as a person, to see all these grandkids and people and aunts and uncles and people knocking on the door and people coming and eating the leftover cranberry and bringing a covered dish and all that Thanksgiving represents. And for our government right now, by and large, to say this isn't a good idea for doctors, epidemiologists, even the knucklehead sports guy on the radio should just stick to sports, saying, you know what? Just gonna be my wife and I this year with some stuffing, and we're gonna offer some Zoom and take a covered dish over to my kid. Give me your Thanksgiving, because I know like the first half of it's wiped out because you've spent the last 43 years going to this football game, winning some, losing some, but your Thanksgiving's already different, right?
Vastly. I'm telling you, it is really an anchor. I mean, like, there's very few things that you can go back to one day every year doing the exact same thing. I mean, and that for me is that Calvert Hall Loyola game. But in that tradition, yeah, we've got everything else that goes with it, and the turkey and the oyster stew and all the deliciousness and the we sing the family song, which is David Allen Coe's "You Never Even Called Me by My Name" is sort of the unofficial family anthem. I don't know
I interviewed
why.
him once. That's great. That's interesting you'd say that. Good. Had him
We
on the
sing
show
it
once.
about 40 to 50 times every Thanksgiving dinner, depending on how well the booze is flowing. But But yeah, so
See, I
it's
wish
good.
I had some of these things because I had like a smaller family, and Thanksgiving was something like I would have with my family and go visit 5 of my friends and go scam, John Raffalidis' father's milk duds, go over to Carol Fountain's house and eat her leftover broccoli, au gratin casserole that my mom didn't make, compare her sweet potatoes to my mom. You know what I mean? Like I did a little bit more of that, and so that was. Yeah, we had Dundalk. We played football. I mean, like as a kid, I played football with my friends the first 20 years of my life on Thanksgiving. It's what we did. Dundalk versus Essex, Colgate versus Berks. But it was always football, right? Like, so Thanksgiving is a football holiday. And I'm not going to Pittsburgh Thursday night, but I mean, if it were normal, I guess I would. My wife and I might have made a day of it. You know what I mean? Maybe we might have made a night of it in Pittsburgh and celebrated there, just the two of us, or done something. If it were normal, but there's nothing normal about this for anybody, right? And I
Yeah.
think that we should all be cognizant of that this week. I don't know to be a little kinder, a little gentler this week, but like all of us, and we heard this in the beginning of the pandemic, we were all going to make sacrifices, right? Like my dad telling me about Herbert Hoover and a chicken in every pot and the stock market and like all of that, right? That we were going to make sacrifices like they did during the war, or like all of those things. We're all making a sacrifice of some kind this week.
We're all losing a little something, but as we've said many times before, we are going to come through this. We're going to be back to normal. I have long lamented the fact that we're not going to have like a VE day or a VJ day, that there's not going to be one cathartic moment when we realize that we won and the virus is gone.
I
It's
don't
going
know.
to be,
January 21st going to be a good day. But
well,
yeah.
I'll take that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's what it is. There'll be these mini, like the inauguration, but Preakness, and then, Kentucky Derby Day and 4th of July.
I'm going to have a beer with you on opening day one year. I mean, when we can go,
You
you
still
and
got
me.
a shot at opening day. I mean, I got to think
Magic
that
happen.
they're going to be playing baseball in April. And I don't know that we're going to be totally out of the woods. That's it, right?
All right, man. Look, Thursday night, eat your turkey. Don't think too much about dad in bad ways and good ways. Sing your David Allan Coe song. And, hopefully the Ravens will at least give us something to cheer about. And I'll leave it at that. And I'll get back with you next week, and we'll start talking about the aftermath of Thanksgiving and getting ready for, the next thing and getting the vaccine. And we'll talk about auto accidents and personal injury and COVID and all that. Let's just get through this, eat some pumpkin pie. And how about this? We'll be thankful for what we do have. How about that? We're thankful we'll have a Ravens game Thursday night.
All gratitude, man. All gratitude. It's there. I mean, what somebody say? This is not the year to get everything. It's the year to be grateful for that which you have, and we have plenty.
I got a turkey in the fridge. We're going to be cooking that up. I got Taharka ice cream loaded in my freezer. By the way, sweet potato casserole. Okay, they have a sweet potato casserole ice cream. Check that box, whatever you do. Thank me later, okay?
All right.
Todd Schuler, they are damngoodlawyer.com. Blondell, Miller, Schuler. They're in Essex. I passed them on the way to Pizza John's and on the way to Al's, and I want to give some love to Chad and the whole family, the Big Al family down there, to get their place back up and running soon so I can taste those delicious crab cakes down there. And I know Robert Irvine's also involved in that as well. So shout out to everybody in Essex. He talks about all this hatred for Loyola on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, if we're from Dundalk, it's Dundalk versus Essex. Everybody, Mickey Caccelli even knows that. Ask anybody. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Ness at BaltimorePositive.com is the new email address. And, of course, WNST AM 1570. We never stop talking Baltimore Positive.